Everyone keeps calling me brave for leaving. They don't know the part where I almost stayed. They don't know what I traded to survive. I've spent so long being the quiet one in my own story. But tonight, I can't keep quiet anymore. Welcome to Reddit Toxic Family Telltales channel. New episode every day. I waited until my husband was sprawled out on the couch, dead to the world, reeking of cheap whiskey. His snores rattled through the living room like a warning siren. I leaned down and whispered to my twin girls, "We're going to get ice cream." Their little hands slipped into mine and we tiptoed out the front door. We didn't stop. Not once. We walked fast, 3 blocks that felt like miles, until the warm yellow light of the women's shelter came into view. My lungs ached, but when we pushed through those doors I actually let out a shaky breath. I thought we were safe. I thought we made it. My voice was barely more than a whisper when I said to the woman at the front desk, "He's passed out right now, but once he wakes up, once he realizes I'm gone, we're screwed." My throat tightened, the last word cracking like glass. Then she looked up. And my stomach just sank. Patricia. His ex. The 25-year-old he dated before me. Her gaze slid over my bruised jaw, then down to my daughters clinging to my legs. Sophie was clutching her teddy, still stained with the dried blood from last week when he'd hurled it at the wall after hitting her. Elise couldn't even look up. She just stared at the floor like she wanted to disappear. "Please," I begged. "Just hide us. Just for tonight. Please." That's when I heard it. That low, familiar rumble of his truck pulling into the lot. He was here. Through the glass I saw his headlights wash over the lobby. His truck idled in front of the building like a monster waiting to pounce. I knew his hunting rifle was probably still in the back seat. He never went anywhere without it. Beep. The horn blared. Both girls flinched and started crying. Patricia glanced at the window, then back at me, face flat. "We need intake forms first." "Patricia, please," I begged, voice cracking. "He's right there." "I can't just hide people," she said coolly. "There's a process." The second honk was longer, sharper, meaner. I could see him in the truck, grinning. Tapping his belt. That was his little signal. His way of saying, "I own you." Sophie, bless her tiny heart, reached up and tugged on Patricia's shirt. "Please let my mommy in. You don't even have to take me. Just take mommy so daddy doesn't hurt her again." Patricia jerked her hand away like Sophie's touch burned. She leaned forward and hissed, "You stole my family. Find your own shelter." My breath caught in my throat. This couldn't be happening. Sophie's small voice trembled. "I'll go back to daddy. I'll be good. Just please hide mommy." Then came the third honk, so long, so furious, Elise wet herself right there on Patricia's clean lobby floor. David was outside, phone up, taking pictures of us. His grin stretched wide like a wolf. Patricia's lip curled. "Not my problem. Maybe David will finally see what kind of mother you really are." Her words hit me like a punch to the chest. And then Elise spoke, my quiet, gentle Elise, her words tumbling out between sobs. "Daddy locks us in the closet when mommy calls for help. It's dark and Sophie can't breathe good in there. Last time he kept us all night." Sophie nodded, lifting her blood-stained teddy like it was evidence. "He broke my bear when I cried too loud. He said if we tell at school he'll hurt mommy worse." The fourth honk made all of us jump. Through the glass, David got out of the truck, stretching casually. That slow, terrifying calm always came before the worst nights. I begged again, "Patricia, please. Even if you hate me, please don't do this to them." Elise dropped to her knees on the wet floor. "Please, Miss Patricia. I promise I'll be quiet. I won't eat. I won't even use the bathroom. Daddy gets real mad after he drinks the smelly bottles. He threw the TV at mommy's head last time." Sophie knelt beside her sister, both of them pleading with their tiny voices, "Please don't make us go back. Please. Please." He was walking toward the door now, his smile carved into that same mask I saw right before every nightmare. Elise clutched Patricia's shoe, whispering, "He has a gun. He said he'd use it if mommy leaves." Patricia stepped back like Elise was nothing more than a bug. "Security," she called. "This woman is refusing to leave." My knees almost buckled. He was already trying the handle. Locked. He looked through the glass and smiled. I yanked my daughters off the floor and held them so tight their tiny bodies trembled against my legs. My mind was spinning, scanning every inch of the lobby. And then I saw it, a hallway behind Patricia's desk. A gray sign, staff only. A back exit. A chance. Patricia dialed something on her phone, her voice bored. Meanwhile, outside, David honked again. I knew exactly what he was reaching for in that truck. Then a man emerged from that hallway. His name tag said Hank. Gray hair, soft face, but his eyes snapped sharp the second he took in the scene. Me. The girls. David. His mouth tightened. His hand went straight to the radio on his belt. "Request immediate police response," he said into it calmly. "Possible DV situation. Armed subject in vehicle." For the first time that night, something loosened in my chest. Patricia started to protest, but Hank just lifted a hand. "She shut up." He stepped between us and the glass, positioning his body like a shield. "Ma'am, move away from the windows," he said gently. I grabbed Sophie and Elise and pulled them into the corner, where the wall hid us from David's view. My legs were shaking, but I forced them to move. Outside, a truck door slammed. Both girls jumped. Sophie buried her face into my shirt. Elise whimpered. I fumbled my phone out, thumbs trembling. I texted 911 the truck's description, the color, the model. Then in caps, "He has a rifle." Boom. 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 His fist slammed into the door. His voice came through, soft, fake sweet. "Let's talk, babe. Come on. Just come home. Hank's voice stayed steady on the radio. Subject is at the door attempting contact. I crouched down and wrapped both girls in my arms. Their kindergarten teacher had taught them a breathing trick for panic. I whispered the count. In for 4, hold for 4, out for 4. Sophie whispered along. Elise followed silently, chest rising in shaky rhythm. And then sirens. Loud. Close. Getting closer. Through the glass I saw David's whole demeanor shift. Shoulders dropped. Hands up, palms out. Suddenly he was the picture of innocence. Casual. Smiling like a neighbor saying hi. He backed toward his truck, slow and easy. Like he hadn't just pounded on that door. Like the gun wasn't in the back seat. The sirens screamed closer and I held my girls tighter, still counting breaths. Whatever happened next, we weren't alone anymore. The sirens are so loud they actually make my ears ache, like the sound is drilling straight into my skull. Then, out of nowhere, 2 squad cars tear into the parking lot, tires crunching against the gravel, lights spinning red and blue across everything like a storm warning. Through the glass I see 4 officers spill out, fast, efficient, hands hovering just above their holsters. David's leaning back against his truck like this is just another Tuesday night, like he's some guy waiting for a buddy to grab a drink. One officer approaches him, slow but deliberate. Another heads straight for the shelter doors. The other 2 fan out like they've done this 100 times, boxing him in so he can't slip away. And then Patricia's voice cuts through the lobby like a knife. This is all unnecessary drama, she snaps. She should have just processed us normally like any other client. Hank doesn't even flinch. He doesn't look at her. His focus stays locked on David, and his hand doesn't leave the radio. I want to scream, you were going to send us back to him, but all my strength is going toward keeping my girls calm. My legs are shaking. Sophie's still breathing in that steady little 4 count with me, her tiny hand gripping mine like it's a lifeline. Elise has gone quiet now, but she's trembling so hard I can feel it through my jeans. A knock rattles the glass door. It's sharp, controlled. Hank moves fast to unlock it, and in steps a female officer with her badge glinting under the lobby lights. Officer Vega. Her dark hair's pulled back so tight it must hurt. She takes one look at my bruised jaw, then at my daughters clinging to me, and her whole face hardens. Her expression shifts from professional to protective in an instant. She asks Hank what happened. He tells her everything in that calm, matter-of-fact way only someone like him can. No dramatics, just facts. He talks about Patricia refusing intake, David showing up, the honking, the pounding, the call he made about a potential DV situation with a weapon. Her pen freezes for a second when he mentions the rifle. Then she writes faster. Officer Vega turns to me. Are there weapons in the vehicle? I nod and whisper about the hunting rifle he always keeps behind the driver's seat. I have to repeat it louder because my voice won't cooperate the first time. She lifts her radio, relays every word, and I watch through the window as the officer outside stiffens. His hand moves closer to his weapon, his stance shifts wider. They believe me now. Patricia tries to push herself back into the conversation, voice sharp. She showed up without an appointment and refused to follow proper intake procedures. But Vega turns on her with a look that could freeze fire. I'll get your statement in a moment. Right now there's an active safety threat. Patricia shuts up, but I can see it, the rage simmering under her skin. She crosses her arms and glares at me like I'm the one who ruined her night. Hank's watching her too. And there's something different in his eyes now. Disgust maybe. Realization. Outside they make David do a field sobriety test. First the walk. Heel to toe he staggers sideways like a marionette with cut strings. Then touching his nose he misses twice. When they tell him to balance on one leg he almost faceplants. Officer Vega leans closer to me, her voice softer but steady. This gives us probable cause to search the vehicle, she explains, like she's making sure I know this is by the book. I just nod. I can barely breathe. Sophie's face is buried in my shirt. Another officer opens David's truck door. I hold my breath. Then I see it, the rifle. The sight of it makes my stomach twist, even though I knew it was there all along. The officer moves carefully, methodically, like he's done this 1,000 times. He checks it, secures it, then reaches for the handcuffs. Hands behind your back. David's mask cracks like glass. That fake easy grin is gone. His face flushes red, mouth moving fast, shouting something I can't hear through the glass. But it doesn't matter. They get the cuffs on. He's not in control anymore. I feel Sophie's hand relax just slightly. Not a lot, but enough to make me notice. Officer Vega turns to me. Can you give a statement? I nod. My voice is stuck somewhere in my throat, but I nod anyway. She takes out her notepad and starts asking questions. When the abuse started, before the girls were even born, how many times he's threatened us with weapons, too many to count, why we came here tonight. I tell her everything. The ice cream lie. The escape. The fear. Patricia jumps in again like she's incapable of reading the room. She stole my family 8 years ago. She's lying. David would never hurt anyone. Officer Vega doesn't even blink. She just writes something down in her notebook. Hank shifts uncomfortably again, that same look of quiet disappointment aimed squarely at Patricia. Finally, Vega raises a hand. Patricia shuts her mouth. The silence feels thick, like the air itself is holding its breath. Officer Vega pulls out her phone. Can I photograph your injuries for documentation? I nod. The camera flash pops. Then she kneels down to Sophie's level, her voice turning soft like velvet. Sweetheart, can I take a picture of your teddy bear? It's really important. It'll help keep you safe. Sophie's hands are trembling as she holds the bear out, but she lets Vega take the photos. Then Vega pulls out a clear evidence bag, explains gently what she's doing and seals the bear inside. She disappears for a moment and comes back with a small, soft brown stuffed dog. She presses it into Sophie's arms and says, "You're very brave." Sophie hugs it tight, and something inside me cracks open just a little. Then Vega's expression turns serious. "I have to call Child Protective Services. It's mandatory when children witness violence." Panic floods my chest. CPS. Those 3 letters feel like a blade. I just got us out. Are they going to take my babies away? She must see the terror on my face because she crouches down so we're eye level. Her voice softens. Their goal is to keep families safe, not separate them. We'll make a safety plan together. I nod, even though my whole body is shaking. She steps aside to make the call while Hank stands nearby like a quiet wall between us and the door. When she comes back, she says we need to go to the hospital to get my injuries documented. I want to scream that I just want to sleep somewhere safe. But when she says those words, protective order, I realize this isn't just hiding anymore. This is real protection. I agree. Hank offers to walk us through the staff corridor so we won't have to pass David's truck. Vega thanks him and I clutch the girls closer. Then, just as we're about to leave, a woman strides in, mid-40s, sharp blazer, the kind of presence that makes people stand up straighter. She introduces herself as Letitia Campbell, the shelter supervisor. She listens quietly as Hank explains everything: Patricia's refusal, David's arrival with the rifle, my daughters on their knees begging for help. As he talks, Patricia stands behind the desk, arms crossed, cheeks flushed with anger. Letitia's face goes pale, then hard. She asks Patricia if it's true. Patricia starts rambling about procedures and intake forms, but Letitia silences her with one raised hand. They step aside, but Patricia's voice rises anyway, defensive and nasty. Letitia's reply is quiet, but it cuts through like a blade. Then louder, "Go home. Now." Patricia storms off, throwing me a look so full of hatred it makes me instinctively step back. The staff door slams behind her. Letitia turns back to me, her tone steady. "I'm so sorry this happened. I'll arrange a transfer to a partner shelter tomorrow. I'll personally handle your intake." Officer Vega nods. "We need to get her and the children to the hospital now." Letitia agrees, and for the first time all night, I feel something small but real settle in my chest. Safety. Not total, not forever, but enough to take the next breath without fear. The ride in the back of the squad car is eerily quiet. No one talks. The girls sit pressed against me, Sophie on my right, Elise on my left. Sophie keeps stroking the stuffed dog's ear with her little fingers, over and over, like she's trying to convince herself it's real. Outside, streetlights blur past in streaks of orange. Officer Vega drives steady, never too fast, never too slow. Hank had walked us out and stood there until the doors shut, making sure we were actually safe before she pulled away. When we reach the ER, a nurse spots the police escort and immediately ushers us through a side door. No waiting. No curious stares from strangers. She's in her 30s, warm eyes, efficient hands. She leads us into a small exam room with soft yellow lighting and asks me, gently, to tell her when each injury happened. I touch the bruise on my jaw. 3 days ago, I whisper. I asked about grocery money. She nods. No pity, no judgment. Just listening. Then my arms, dark fingerprints still visible. Last week. He grabbed me when I tried to leave the bedroom. The girls sit in hard plastic chairs in the corner, fighting to stay awake. Elise is still wearing her wet clothes from the shelter. The nurse hands her a too big hospital gown and a pair of scrub pants. Elise doesn't even complain, she just quietly changes. The nurse takes photos, measures bruises, notes everything down. She's calm but kind, moving through each step like she's done this 100 times. Then another woman walks in. Warm smile. Clipboard in hand. She introduces herself as Clara Hammond, Child Protective Services. The words alone make me tense. My arms tighten around the girls like they might disappear if I let go. But Clara doesn't tower over me. She sits down so we're eye to eye. Her voice is soft but steady when she says, "I'm here to help make a safety plan, not to take your children away." I don't fully relax. But I nod. She asks if I have any family. I tell her the truth, I've been isolated for years. No mom. No friends. David made sure of that. Clara writes it down like it's not a surprise. That's common, she says. Isolation is control. She asks to talk to the girls separately. My stomach knots, but I agree. Elise goes first, clutching her sleeves as Clara leads her to a consultation room down the hall. Sophie curls into my lap even though she's outgrown it. Elise is gone for about 10 minutes. When she comes back, Clara's face looks sad but calm. Then it's Sophie's turn. The nurse sits beside me, silent, just present. I count the seconds on the wall clock until Sophie returns, red-eyed but quiet. Clara gives me a small nod. It's not joy, but it's something like okay. Then a young woman with a messenger bag enters. She introduces herself as F.A. Coleman, domestic violence advocate. She's brisk, focused, and she hands me a burner phone still in its packaging and a folder stuffed with papers. She explains everything clearly, no sugarcoating. David will probably bond out within 24 hours. I need to file for an emergency protective order in the morning. She spreads the forms out on the tray table and walks me through each section step by step. She isn't treating me like I'm broken. She's treating me like someone who can fight back. She asks about where we can stay, about money, about work. I give her honest answers, even the embarrassing ones. She doesn't judge. She just writes and says, "We'll figure it out one step at a time." Officer Vega returns with an update. David's facing DUI, domestic violence, and child endangerment charges. His bond will be high, but he'll likely be out by tomorrow night. The brief flicker of relief I'd felt crumbles in an instant. Vega meets my eyes and says, once the protective order's in place, any contact means immediate arrest. She hands me her card, her personal number scribbled on the back. Clara finishes her paperwork and promises to check in tomorrow afternoon. Faye says she'll meet me at the courthouse at 9 a.m. to file everything. Clara asks where we'll stay tonight. I have no answer, but Faye jumps in. Motel voucher. Advocacy program. Clara keeps asking the hard but necessary questions, bank accounts, family, safety details. She gives me a copy of everything we've planned. Then Faye's phone rings. She puts it on speaker. It's Letitia, the shelter supervisor. She's talking fast, apologizing over and over. Patricia's been placed on administrative leave pending investigation. Letitia is arranging our transfer to a partner shelter in another county by tomorrow. A place David won't find us. My voice cracks when I manage to say, thank you. By the time the nurse hands us our discharge papers, it's past midnight. Vega shows up again with a plastic bag of donated clothes, nothing fancy, just clean t-shirts and sweatpants. But they're ours. She leads us out through a side door, away from the main entrance, and drives us to a rundown motel with a flickering neon sign. She checks the room like she's done this before, bathroom, windows, under the beds, then hands me the key. Call 911 if anything happens, she says, then leaves. I lock the door. Chain it. Shove a chair under the handle. Check the windows twice. The girls collapse on one of the double beds without even taking off their shoes. I sit on the other bed and unwrap the burner phone, my hands shaking. I save Faye's number. Vega's. What we have now fits in one short list. The clothes we're wearing. A few shirts and pants in a plastic bag. A burner phone with 2 numbers. Sophie's stuffed dog. Elise's wet clothes in a trash bag. A folder full of legal papers. Almost nothing. But it's more than we had 6 hours ago. The girls are asleep, curled together like they did when they were babies. I slip into the bathroom, light spilling under the door, and start filling out the protective order forms. My hand shakes, but I force every word onto the page. The TV he threw. The closet. The rifle. The threats. All of it. Then the burner phone buzzes. Unknown number. It's a photo of our house. Lights on. His truck in the driveway. No words. My blood goes ice cold. I forward it to Faye immediately. She replies in 2 minutes, documenting it and telling me to try to rest. But rest doesn't come easy. Every sound makes me flinch. Footsteps. A car door. A distant laugh. I drift in and out until dawn. At 8 sharp, Faye knocks with coffee and breakfast sandwiches. She spreads the paperwork on the table, circling things, helping me build the case. Clara calls and sets the court hearing for 10 a.m. The girls eat their sandwiches without a single complaint. Sophie doesn't even push away the sausage like she usually does. At the courthouse, we pass through the metal detectors. I can't stop scanning the hallway, terrified he'll be there. Faye keeps assuring me he's still in custody. Inside the courtroom, everything moves both too fast and unbearably slow. The judge, a stern woman with gray hair and glasses, listens to every word as I describe the abuse, the threats, the night at the shelter. She looks at the hospital photos, the police report. When David's lawyer appears on a video call, he talks like he's describing some misunderstanding. Says I'm exaggerating. Says Patricia gave a statement calling me manipulative. I don't speak. Faye squeezes my hand. Then Vega testifies. Calm. Precise. She describes my injuries. The girl's fear. The rifle. Patricia's bias. The blood on Sophie's teddy bear. The judge looks at her notes, then reads the ruling. Temporary emergency protective order granted. David can't contact me or the girls. He has to stay 500 feet away. Surrender all firearms within 24 hours. No alcohol. GPS monitoring. If he breaks any of it, they'll arrest him on the spot. I don't even realize I'm crying until Faye presses a tissue into my hand. We step out into the sunlight. Clara promises to follow up tomorrow. Faye stays beside me, steady as a pillar. Then I see her. Letitia. Waiting by a concrete pillar outside the courthouse. She looks at me with quiet regret. The shelter failed you, she says. That's not acceptable. Her gaze shifts to the parking lot. Patricia is standing near a silver car, watching us. Letitia walks straight toward her. I can't hear what she says, but Patricia's face drains of all color. She gets in her car and drives off fast. For the first time in what feels like forever, I exhale. It's not over, not even close. But this time I'm not running. This time I'm standing. We take a taxi back to the motel because Faye has to head to another client. The driver doesn't ask questions, just nods when I give him the address. The girls fall asleep in the back seat before we even hit the second stoplight, their heads leaning against each other like they've done this 1,000 times. When we pull up, I pay quickly and carry Elise, still half asleep, while Sophie trails behind me, blinking drowsily. Inside the room, I start gathering our few belongings, the donated clothes, the folder, the burner phone. We're supposed to move to the new shelter soon. I'm halfway through folding a shirt when I glance out the window, and everything in me goes cold. David's truck is pulling into the lot. He's out on bond. Already. And he's violating the protective order less than 3 hours after the judge signed it. My body moves before my brain does. I grab Sophie's hand, scoop Elise up, and rush us into the bathroom. I lock the door, hands fumbling so badly I nearly drop the burner phone. Sophie's wide eyes search my face. Mommy, what's wrong? I press a finger to my lips and whisper, shoo. I dial 911 with shaking fingers. The dispatcher answers and I whisper our location, barely breathing the words. I describe his truck, the violation, the danger. She tells me to stay on the line. I hear her radio crackle, units on the way. Then the footsteps. Heavy. Too familiar. And his voice. That fake, calm, sickly sweet tone that always came right before everything exploded. I just want to talk, babe. We can work this out. Sophie starts to cry softly against my chest, and I cover her mouth gently. Elise clings to my side like a shadow. The door handle rattles. Knock. 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 Sirens. Faint at first. Then closer. David curses loudly and I hear his boots pounding away. I peek through the bathroom crack and catch a glimpse of him sprinting for the truck. 2 patrol cars screech into the lot, red and blue lights flashing across the walls. Officers rush him before he even reaches the door. This time they don't bother with polite commands. They grab him, twist his arms, shove him face first against the hood and cuff him hard. One officer searches him while another radios for backup. He's shoved into the back of a squad car. The motel's security camera catches everything. 10 minutes later, Officer Vega's familiar patrol car pulls up. She knocks, identifies herself. I open the door and both girls immediately bolt for me, sobbing. Sophie clutches my leg. Elise makes that small, frightened whimper I've heard too many nights. Vega steps in, closes the door behind her and crouches down to our level. Her voice is steady and calm. She takes notes as I explain everything, packing, spotting the truck, hiding in the bathroom, the call. She nods slowly, then says what I already know in my gut. Violating a protective order this fast is a big deal. The judge will take it seriously. She asks if I know how he found us. I hand her the phone with the photo message from last night. Our house, lights on, truck in the driveway. She takes pictures of the text and frowns. He must have followed the taxi or tracked you, she says. But we left with nothing. No car. No electronics. No luggage. Just the hospital bag. He followed us. She radios to have the motel cameras pulled. Then she looks at the girls huddled on the bed and softens. He's going back to jail. No bond this time. Right then my burner phone rings. Clara. Her voice is urgent. We need to move now. He found you once, he can again. I'm revising the safety plan. No school until we're secure. No contact with anyone who might give him your location by accident. Faye's already arranging transport. Vega agrees to stay with us until it arrives. I pack the same few things for the second time in less than a day. A knock on the door makes us all jump. Vega checks the peephole first. Then she opens the door. Letitia steps inside, exhaustion etched across her face. I'm driving you myself, she says. I can't trust anyone else right now. We load into her plain gray sedan. She locks the doors, checks the mirrors, and drives. She weaves through unfamiliar neighborhoods, doubling back twice, making random turns. After half an hour, she finally exhales. Almost there, she says. The new shelter isn't a big building with a sign. It's a quiet house on a tree-lined street, blue siding, a porch light glowing soft yellow. It looks like any other home. An intake coordinator in jeans and a sweater opens the door. She smiles at the girls, speaks gently, and leads us into a cozy living room. Toys in a basket. Couches. A TV. Down the hall, she shows us a bedroom with 2 twin beds and a small bathroom. It's simple. But it's ours. The girls immediately climb onto their beds. Sophie sets her stuffed dog on the pillow. Elise bounces once, testing the mattress. The intake coordinator tells us we can rest. Dinner's in an hour. When Letitia hugs me goodbye, she promises to keep us updated. Later, when the house is quiet, I pull out the burner phone and dial a number I haven't touched in years, my mom's. She answers on the second ring. Her voice cracks, half laugh, half sob. I tell her, it's me. We're safe. She doesn't say I told you so. She just says, I love you. I'm proud of you. She promises to help with money for clothes and supplies. That afternoon, Faye calls. She's scheduled a consultation with a legal aid attorney. Miss Rodriguez, calm and direct, explains the custody and divorce process. It's overwhelming. But having steps makes the mountain ahead look a little less impossible. After dinner, a child therapist named Miss Karen visits the girls. She teaches them safety words, red for stop, yellow for breathe, green for I'm okay. She helps them build a feelings chart with colorful stickers. Sophie actually smiles when she puts a happy star on the board. Elise adds scared squares but then, 1 yellow star. That night, Letitia calls again. Patricia's been suspended without pay. The intake failure is under full review. My complaint is documented. It's not everything I want, but it's something real. Then another call. Miss Chen, the prosecutor. She lays out the charges: domestic violence, child endangerment, DUI, 2 counts of violating a protective order. She says judges don't ignore that kind of pattern. Preliminary hearings are coming. She'll guide me through testifying when the time comes. Later, Faye knocks on our door, sits next to me on the bed, and when I admit I'm scared, she just says, leaving was the hardest part. Everything else is steps. After she leaves, I pull out the journal the intake coordinator gave me. I write it all down. Every bruise. Every threat. Every night that could have ended differently. My hand cramps after 6 pages, but the words are proof. This was real. Days pass. David's bond is revoked. He's back in jail. The legal wheels are turning. And then, one quiet afternoon, Sophie tugs my hand and says, "Can we get ice cream now?" We walk to the shelter's little courtyard. The sun is warm on my face. The girls sit at the picnic table, legs swinging, sharing a pint of vanilla with plastic spoons. Sophie gets some on her nose. Elise laughs, really laughs. It's such a small, ordinary thing, but it's everything. We have a long road ahead, court dates, therapy, rebuilding from nothing. But right now my girls are laughing in the sunshine. We're safe. We're free. And we're taking our lives back, one quiet, steady step at a time. Thanks for watching. Today's train wreck is over, but tomorrow's ride is already on track. Subscribe so you don't miss it.